Today, I want to speak about one of the most beautiful dream scenes in the Bible, Jacob's ladder. It's a short passage, but it contains an entire spiritual psychology. Jacob is fleeing from home. He has deceived his father Isaac. He has taken the blessing intended for his brother Esau. Esau is furious, and Jacob is now on the run. He leaves Beersheba and travels towards Haran. Night falls. He takes a stone, places it under his head, and sleeps. And then he dreams. He sees a ladder set up on the earth with its top reaching to heaven. Angels of God are ascending and descending upon it. God appears and renews the promise given to Abraham and Isaac: the land, the descendants, the blessing, the protection. Jacob awakes and says, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it." That sentence is one of the great religious sentences in Genesis. Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it. From a Jungian point of view, this is not simply a dream. It is an encounter with the unconscious at a moment of crisis. Jung believed that dreams are not random nonsense. They are communications from the deeper psyche. They speak in images, symbols, dramas, and strange arrangements. They often reveal what the conscious ego does not yet know. And Jacob at this moment does not know where he is, not merely geographically, but spiritually. He is between worlds. He has left the Father's house, but he has not yet arrived at his future. He has gained the blessing, but lost the security of home. He is chosen, but also guilty. He is blessed, but also afraid. He is alone, sleeping on the ground with the stone for a pillow. It is precisely there, in exile and uncertainty, that the dream comes. This is very Jungian. The unconscious often speaks most powerfully when the ego's normal structures collapse, when we are too certain, too comfortable, too defended. The deeper psyche may remain hidden, but when we are displaced, humbled, frightened, or alone, something larger may break through. Jacob's ladder is a vertical image: earth below, heaven above, angels moving between. For Jung, vertical symbols are psychologically important. They represent connection between levels of being: the conscious and the unconscious, the human and the divine, the ordinary and the transcendent. The ladder suggests that the human soul is not flat. It has depth and height. It is connected to realms beyond the ego's control. Jacob thought he was alone. The dream reveals that he is not. He thought he had merely stopped at a random place for the night. The dream reveals that the place is holy. He thought that he was fleeing across empty ground. The dream reveals that heaven and earth are connected precisely where he lies. That is the great shock. Jacob does not find God in a temple or in a sanctuary or in a moment of moral triumph. He finds God whilst running away, guilty, afraid, and homeless. This matters because many people assume that spiritual revelation comes only when one is pure, prepared, serene, or deserving. Jacob's dream says something more mysterious. Sometimes revelation comes when the human being is broken open. The dream does not excuse Jacob's deception, but it does show that his story is not over. That too is psychologically important. A person may be guilty without being abandoned. A person may be morally compromised without being spiritually finished. Jacob's dream does not say you did nothing wrong. It says there is still a ladder, there is still a connection, there is still a future. Now, what about the angels? The text says that they are ascending and descending. Interestingly, they ascend first, then descend. Some traditional commentators have noticed this. If angels are heavenly beings, why do they ascend before descend? Perhaps because the angels accompanying Jacob in the land are ascending and the new angels for exile are descending. Or perhaps symbolically, the movement begins from earth. The human situation itself sends something upwards. For Jung, angels can be understood as messengers between levels of psyche. They represent mediating figures, movements between consciousness and the unconscious, between the ego and the self. The self in Jungian psychology is not simply the everyday ego. It is the deeper center and totality of the psyche. It is the organizing principle that draws the person towards wholeness. Religious symbols of God often overlap psychologically with symbols of the self, not because God is nothing but the psyche, but because the psyche experiences ultimate meaning through symbolic forms. Jacob's ladder, then, may be a dream of connection between the ego and the self. Jacob's ego is isolated and afraid. The dream shows him that the life is part of a larger pattern. He is not merely a fugitive, he is a bearer of destiny. But destiny, in Jung, is dangerous if the ego identifies with it too quickly. Jacob must not simply say, I am chosen, therefore I can do anything. That would be inflation. Instead, the dream should humble him. He wakes afraid and says, how awesome is this place? This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. The place becomes Bethel, the house of God. This is another important Jungian theme, the transformation of place. Before the dream, the place is ordinary. After the dream, it is sacred. But what changed? The ground did not change. Jacob changed. His perception changed. The dream revealed the depth that was already there. Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it. This may be one of the deepest lessons of the story. The sacred is often present before we recognize it. We live on holy ground without knowing it. We pass through moments of meaning as though they were random. Only afterwards, in dream, crisis, love, grief, or memory, do we realize something was there. In Jungian terms, the psyche is constantly offering symbols of meaning, but the ego often does not understand them. Jacob's dream wakes him up, not only from sleep, but from spiritual unconsciousness. Now, there is something very human about Jacob's response. After the dream, he makes a vow. He says, in effect, if God will be with me, protect me, give me bread to eat and clothing to wear, and bring me back in peace, then the Lord shall be my God. This is not the purest faith imaginable. It is conditional. It sounds almost like bargaining, but it is honest. Jacob is not yet Israel. He is not yet the man who wrestles with the angel. He is at the beginning of his transformation. His faith is still mixed with fear, need, self-interest, and calculation. Jung would appreciate this. Individuation is a process. The soul does not become whole in one dream. The ladder begins the journey. It does not complete it. Jacob must still go to Laban. He must still be deceived as he deceived. He must love Rachel, marry Leah, father children, labor, struggle, return, fear Esau, wrestle in the night, receive a wound, and then become Israel. The dream gives the image of connection. Life will give the work of transformation. This is crucial. A dream may reveal destiny, but destiny must be lived. Many people have powerful spiritual or psychological experiences. They feel touched by something greater, but the experience itself is not the whole transformation. The question is what happens afterwards. Does the dream make us more honest, more humble, more responsible, more capable of suffering consciously? Jacob's dream does not remove the consequences of his life. It gives him a vertical axis by which he may endure them. That phrase, vertical axis, is helpful. The vertical soul is the soul that knows life is not only horizontal. The horizontal life is movement through time, family, work, ambition, conflict, travel, success, and failure. Jacob is very involved in the horizontal life. He wants the birthright, he wants the blessing, he wants survival, he wants Rachel, he wants descendants. But the ladder introduces the vertical dimension: God, dream, depth, height, meaning, mystery. A life without the vertical becomes flat. It may be busy, successful, clever, or even powerful, but it lacks depth. A life with only the vertical can become detached from reality, but Jacob's dream joins the two. The ladder is set on earth and its top reaches heaven. That is the point. The spiritual life does not require escape from earth. The ladder begins exactly where Jacob lies, on hard ground, with a stone for a pillow. In this sense, Jacob's ladder is an antidote to spiritual fantasy. It does not say, leave the earth behind. It says, heaven is connected to earth. The divine is encountered in the middle of human trouble. This is why the image still speaks. Everyone at some point sleeps with a stone under their head. Not literally, perhaps, but inwardly. We find ourselves in a hard place. We are between who we are and who we must become. We have left something behind, but we do not yet know what lies ahead. We carry guilt, fear, longing, and uncertainty. And sometimes in that very place, the dream comes, the angels move, the ladder appears. And we realize that the place of exile is also the gate of heaven. Jung would say, attend to such images. Do not dismiss them. They may be the psyche's way of restoring connection. They may show that beneath the chaos of our conscious life, a deeper order is at work. But Jung would also warn us not to inflate ourselves. A dream of heaven does not make us superior. It makes us responsible. Jacob must live into the dream. He must become worthy of the blessing he has taken. That may be the ethical heart of the story. Jacob receives the promise while still morally unfinished. So do we. The question is not whether we begin pure. We do not. The question is whether we allow the dream to transform us. In the end, Jacob's ladder is not merely a dream about angels. It is a dream about the structure of the soul. The soul has an earth. The soul has a heaven. The soul has messengers moving between what we know and what we do not know. And sometimes, when we are most alone, we discover that the place where we have fallen asleep is the very place where heaven touches earth. Jacob wakes and says, surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it. Perhaps that is the beginning of wisdom. Not that God was absent and then arrived, but that God was present and Jacob became awake enough to know it.